Hong Kong Direct is your weekly racing roundup with news, views, previews, interviews and special guests. And coming up on a big show today as we head into the final Group 1 of the season, Exultant looking for back-to-back wins in the Standard Charter Champions and Chater Cup. We'll hear from Zac Purton very shortly, and we're weighing in with Matthew Chadwick as well, who won this race back in 2013 with California Memory. A very warm welcome to the show. I'm Andrew Lejeune. I'm pleased to say I'm joined here by Graham Cunningham and Ed Sadler to preview our final Group 1 of the season. And Graham, as far as this race is concerned, we've got Tony Cruz and John Moore, who between them train the 7 runners. Yeah, we have two legends of Hong Kong racing. Great to preview this race, but it is about one horse. If Exultant turns up with his A game, he's going to take a power of beating. Second 2 years ago to Pakistan Star. Last year, he was an emphatic winner, and if he brings a peak performance, it'll be the same again on Sunday. Well, there you go. Probably stop the show now, Ed. He was a short price favourite when winning last time, but he was long odds on and beaten the start before, so he's not completely unbeatable.
No, he's not. I think it was just the tactics beat him a couple of starts ago, Andrew, when he was beaten in the Gold Cup by Time Warp, but Zac Purton made amends last time out on the horse. He didn't want to get too far behind Time Warp. He got up to him with 1,300 metres left to go, and although he might have been getting a little bit tired over the concluding stages of the race, he was far too good. He's our dominant middle distance to staying horse here in Hong Kong, and it is really hard to see him being beaten on Sunday.
And that's the interesting thing, Graham, about this race as well, is Time Warp is his stablemate as well. And it was really, he's racing on heart and courage for his last 2 starts. John Moore, his rival here, has a front runner as well in the shape of Shafano. Yeah, Shafano blossomed from the front and at 1.5 miles last time. So hey, they have that option of going to the front and making it a real strong test of stamina. But as we know from plenty of big races in the past, that suits Exultant down to the ground. Likewise, a yielding track. It was good to yielding when he won this race, beating Rise High 12 months ago. There's plenty of rain about. Conditions should be absolutely perfect for Exultant. And the key question is, did the effort he put in to challenge Time Warp, subdue him, and then hold Furore last time, has that left any sort of mark? That is the one only small question mark against Exultant's chance this weekend. All right, and Ed, without giving the game away, hopefully we'll hear from John Moore a little bit later on. The rain will certainly suit maybe 1 or 2 of his runners as well. Definitely, with former European horses in the race here, like Helene Charisma and Savvy 9, it will definitely suit their hopes in the race. And even an older horse like Eagle Way, he pulled up as Aurora last time out. We know he's got that wind issue, but if he ran up to his QE2 Cup performance, he'd definitely be some sort of chance. All right, well, let's have a look at the rundown, the list of runners for Sunday's feature, the final Group 1 of the season, the Standard Charter Champions and Chater Cup. Race number 8 at 5 past 4. Exultant, the defending champ, back. Furore runner up to him last time out. Time Warp beat Exultant 2 starts back. And then the 4 John Moore runners, Eagle Way, Shafano, Helene Charisma and Savvy 9. Before we get into it in a little bit more detail, let's hear from Exultant's pilot Zac Purton as he gives us the rundown on Exultant's top 3 wins here in Hong Kong.
Early on, he was a fierce-going horse in his races. He'd get his head up. You weren't able to ride him to suit the race. You sort of had to ride him to suit him. And as he started to learn more about racing and become more adaptable, then we could do a little bit more on him. But he's got a set of iron lungs. He'll just keep galloping all day, and he's as tough as they come. When they backed the speed off like they did, I felt like I didn't have much option because he started to get his head up and resent the pace of the race a little bit. So I decided then it was time to roll forward and start taking the race into my own hands.
Some moves from the back, some jockeys not happy with the tempo and their position, and Zac Purton's the first to go on Exultant, and he revs things up now at the 750.
I was fairly comfortable with the run I made on him. He came into the straight and I thought he had plenty left to give me, and I wasn't worried about him stopping at all that day.
Exultant kept going with 100 a run. Southern Legend's lifting. Exultant's not stopping though. Exultant's clear from Southern Legend. It's a line-up for 3rd, but Exultant wins again. What a season he's having.
It was disappointing with the way Time Warp was able just to dictate the race before. No one put any pressure on him at all, and I made sure when I had the opportunity I got up outside him and gave my horse the best chance for him to win the race.
Time Warp is the leader. Exultant is a neck away. They're out by 3 lengths on Furore, hard ridden. So too Glorious Dragon. They've run this as hard down the side, this pair.
I think in some respects when Joe seen me on his outside, he panicked, he put the pedal down, and you know, from that case, that point in time, I just had to go with him. I had to stick with him, and then I had to eyeball him and make sure I got the better of him.
3 lengths on Furore. Player Del Puente lurking on the rail from Eagle Way. Exultant managed to get rid of Time Warp. Then Furore, Eagle Way. It's Exultant with 150 to go.
I could feel I was empty. He was out on his feet. And the last 200 metres felt like it was about a 400 or 500 metre race. It was just a matter of trying to keep the gallop up and get to the line, and thankfully he was good enough to do that.
Exultant leads, Furore still a length to make up, then Eagle Way, it's QE2 redemption for Exultant.
I'd run second and third in it a number of times without winning it, so to finally get it, it was a sense of relief and it's something that I was able to enjoy. You know, when I pressed the button, I thought I had the race won, and you know, I was surprised that Liz Grishow was able to come up and head me.
A Prince of Arran, Crocosmia cornered in front from Exultant. There's naught between them. Azira, Salu and Ribbon. Here comes Liz Grishow, Pakistan Star, then Rostropovich further back to Eagle Way, Latrobe, followed then by Prince of Arran. Liz Grishow raced up to Exultant. It's Exultant and Liz Grishow.
I swept the whip from the left to the right hand, and he was able to lift for me, and you know, it was an unbelievable feeling.
Clear from Azira, then Pakistan Star and Eagle Way, Exultant and Liz Grishow, a real cliffhanger in the bars. Exultant fights back and wins for Hong Kong.
You know, Liz Grishow went back to Japan and won a Group 1 there, and then obviously won the Cox Plate in Australia, and Wild Goose going back to France and winning the Arc. You know, it's a pinnacle race in Europe, so you know, to look back now and know that he beat those 2 horses, it was the best performance he's put up, and that's why it gets to the #1 spot.
It was a magical day, a magical race as well. 4 Group 1s to his name then, Graham, over $67.5 million. But can you pinpoint the points that make him as good as they are, Exultant?
I think I can, Andrew. And if you just want it in one word, it's strength. Zac talked about an iron set of lungs. His physical capabilities are unusual. There are plenty of horses around who can deal out 12.2, 12.3 second furlongs. There are very few who can do that for a mile, then go lower and lower again, running a 23.5 or a 23.3. He can do that. His strength and his courage, his lung and heart capacity kick in at the crucial point in a race. And that's what sets him apart from the very best days around.
And he's versatile as well, Ed, as you saw in those packages. The pace wasn't strong, so he rolls forward and gets outside the leader and puts some pressure on them.
Absolutely. We saw Andrew in that Hong Kong Vase that he was able to sit outside of the leader, Crocosmia, in that race as well too. So that was a terrific performance that day, and he was then headed by Liz Grishow, fought back to win. We've seen him get back and then take off halfway through the race if the pace hasn't been there to suit. So he's super honest, super consistent. I think his toughness and his will to win, there for mine, his 2 main attributes.
As far as the trip's concerned as well, Graham, he's 3 from 5 course and distance here at Sha-Tin over the mile and a half. Is the 2,400 metres his best trip as well?
I think it's marginal. When you actually watch him run, you think the further the better. But as Edward touched on, he's got a big win over 1,800 metres, and he can put in some pretty smart splits within that. So unlike some of the other top horses in Hong Kong, his is a wide range of distances from 1,800 through to 2,400. But yes, to answer your question in a nutshell, 2,400 this weekend with even fractions and some give in the ground. To me, if the real Exultant is on show, it amounts to him being able to put on a really impressive show, and perhaps a show that belatedly but deservedly puts him in the Horse of the Year conversation.
Absolutely. Beauty Generation and Golden 60, I think Exultant deserves to be mentioned in those sort of terms as well. Tactically speaking, how does it work this weekend for Exultant and Zac?
Time Warp, I think, will lead here, Andrew. We saw Shafano go all the way in the Queen Mother Memorial Cup There wasn't much pace on in that race though, and it was a small field against small field here, but I think Time Warp will lead. Schifano will sit outside of him. Exultant, he's drawn out wide in the field of 7, so I would imagine that he might sit back initially, and then Zac can just assess the pace. If they're going along at a tempo that suits him, there are stamina doubts with a horse like Time Warp. He might be content to sit where he is, or if they do go slowly in front, look for him to do like what he did in the QE2 Cup and bridge that margin and make sure that it is a genuinely run-staying race.
All right, well, we'll talk about the other runners in a bit more detail in part 2. Hopefully catch up with John Moore as well, and Matthew Chadwick. We'll be weighing in with him. We head off to a break, though. Let's look back on some of the great races and the great winners as well in the Standard Chartered Champions and Chater Cup.
Superstar the inside, fighting back, dominant, blazing speed. Helene Superstar lifting on the inside. Helene Superstar. Blazing speed, Werther, Victory Magic, what a struggle. Blazing speed, Werther, Victory Magic, magnificent finish. Werther, the horse of the year, is roaring away with the Champions and Chater from Blazing Speed and Eagle Way. How sweet it is, Werther. Pakistan Star given a taste of the persuader with 100 to go. Pakistan Star, he is the shining light of Hong Kong racing, and he takes a second Group 1. Exultant's got a fight on his ham. He starts to edge clear from Pakistan Star. Dark Dream and Rise High. The Vase, the Gold Cup, and now the Champions and Chater.
You're watching a special edition of Hong Kong Direct. We're previewing Sunday's Group 1, the Standard Chartered Champions and Chater Cup. Back to that in a moment. First up, we're weighing in with Matthew Chadwick.
Hello, I'm Matthew Chadwick. I'm a local jockey in Hong Kong. No, but I've been called many things. At the past, must be California. At the minute, Schifano.
Schifano, 200 metres to go. Still about a length clear over Savvy 9 and Helene Charisma. Schifano, though, walked them in front, walked them down the back, and is going to sprint them home to win the Queen Mother Memorial. Schifano won it by 2.5.
My ride on when you won the Group 2, it was a redemption ride for me after the Singapore escapade. So that'll be my best memory.
Irian and California Memory flashing home. California Memory drives at Zidane, and California Memory, last year's Cup winner, scores a last stride victory.
Well, the only thing I really remember was because of Singapore, the second win probably meant more. As I said, the Group 2 leading into it was a sort of redemption ride for me. We were able to pull it off first up, and the second Hong Kong Cup was just the icing on top.
Chadwick shoots him away at the 150. From Dan Excel, Joffre storming home. But California Memory makes it back-to-back Cup victories and goes into the history books the same.
I thought it was particularly funny when Keith tried to stay on Savvy 6 going to the gates when the bridle came off. Well, I'm not too sure, but at the minute probably I'd like to try to be Joel's or Zac's agent. I support Liverpool, LFC, from the EPL. Well, I've got 2 kids and a wife. They keep me busy, keep us straight, so all good. Well, recently I tried stand by something that I read, which was credibility is trust and trust is honesty. So I tried to stand by that at the minute.
We'll have more of Matthew later on. We'll finish the show with California member as well. But I love that first question, Graham, completely deadpan. Do you have a nickname? No, but I've been called many things.
Yes, name, rank and serial number. You wouldn't get too much out of Matthew Chadwick if it was an interrogation, but actions speak louder than words. And one thing we forget about this guy, he's still 29. He came on the scene like a meteor very early, and there was a lull, but he's worked hard to establish more contacts now. He's still trying to improve. And look at the facts. He's 29 years of age. He's got the thick end of 400 winners in Hong Kong for the thick end of $450 million prize money. Mr. Chadwick is going all right, thanks very much.
He certainly is. And Ed, those stats make him the third most successful jockey still riding here in Hong Kong at the moment, behind Zac Purton and Joe Moreira.
Absolutely. He was the champion apprentice back in 2008, 2009. We forget as well that he won a silver saddle at the Shergar Cup in 2012. This is a race he's won before, the Champions and Chater Cup. He's not without a hope, I think, Andrew, on Schifano. 9 rides on Sunday as well, including an interesting one in Tinkerbell. We don't have many 2-year-old fillies running around in Hong Kong.
We don't know. She'll be going around in the first race. So that's probably a nice segue, Graham, back to the Champion Chater Cup. And Schifano, it made a mockery of that race last time out, the Queen Mother. Chadwick was brilliant from the front, but what happens this time around with Time Warp in the race?
Well, I think he's probably going to go forward, probably not to war with Time Warp. Time Warp's not a guaranteed stayer at 1.5 miles, especially with rain around, so I don't think he's going to set blistering fractions. As regards Schifano, facts are he was struggling off marks in the 90s before last time, but that was his first attempt at 1.5 miles, and he seemed to absolutely relish it. So there is the potential for a little more improvement, but he needs plenty of improvement if he's to win. He could go well, but it looks more of a place contender than a win option. All right,
so Ed, who are the main dangers, or who's the main danger, if you like, to Exultant?
You would have to say from a class point of view, Andrew Furore was only beaten 3/4 of a length by Exultant last time out in the QE2 Cup. He wasn't too far off him earlier on in the season. In the Jockey Club Cup, he's only had a couple of runs for Tony Cruz's stable. They've both been creditable performances. I'm not 100% sure yet if he does run out 2,400 metres, but from a class point of view, he's a Derby winner. He's the main threat.
All right, well, John Moore's got 4 in the race. We caught him up at track work, caught up with him at track work this week and asked who was the best of his quartet.
Helene Charisma, which we all know will definitely enjoy a cut in the ground, and Savvy 9. I can't see any reason why he won't enjoy it. I think they'll think they're back at Longchamp or somewhere like that, enjoying just a nice cushion in the track. So I think the betting public would have look more towards the Savvy 9 and maybe Helene Charisma, because, you know, with Time Walk there, Schifano mightn't get his own way in front. And even though he's drawn outside Time Walk this time, there could be a little bit of a, what's the word I should use? A little bit of muddling pace earlier on when things sort themselves out, and who will actually get to the front, and how it will affect those in behind. So from my point of view, if you're going to ask me the better chances in there, I would have to say, if the pace is genuine, Savvy 9 and Helene Charisma would probably be my stable picks.
Well, there you go. Helene Charisma then for John. And as you said earlier on the show, Graham, it has been wet this week. I don't think it's going to be a heavy track by any stretch of the imagination, but any rain would help Helene Charisma. Yeah, well, leave them wanting more is always a great motto. John Moore has the chance to win his final Group 1. He must have won pushing 100 Group 1s in his career. But the timing of this one would be tremendous. He knows he's got a mighty horse to beat in Exultant, but he has several legitimate chances, and it seems that he favours the horses who will act if there's plenty of rain around. Helene Charisma has been a Group 1 horse in the past. He is a bit of a trickster, there's no doubt about it, but he might just let down a little better if there's rain around. All right, Eagle Way was very disappointing, that Queen Mother, Ed, but was carrying the big weight, so back on off levels, could he get involved? For sure. He would need to improve off that last run, as you mentioned, but back to level weights, and if he was to reproduce what he was able to do a couple of starts ago in the QE2 Cup, this is a race where he's run well in the past as well. Eagle Way, 2,400 metres suits him. He was a Group 1 winner over this trip in Australia prior to coming over here, so health-wise, if he's all okay, sort of freshen up at Chung Fa since last time out, he's definitely some rough hope in the race. All right, with John Moore and Tony Cruz on 6 winners apiece in the Champions Chatter Cup so far. There's bragging rights on offer here, Graham. Who wins this one?
I'm hoping Exultant wins it and wins it like the best middle distance stayer in Hong Kong. Provided that last duel with Time Warp hasn't left a mark, I think he'll win and win well. Furore is the obvious contender for second. I'm not completely convinced about 2,400 metres, and I do think Schifano deserves respect. He didn't look a top quality horse until last time. He may well have been flattered last time, but the trip could be the key to him. So I'm hoping for Exultant, Furore, and perhaps Schifano in that order.
All right. Is it an upset, Ed?
No, I think it's fairly cut and dry, to be honest with you, Andrew. I agree very much with the way that Graham's analysed the race. Exultant's clearly the one to beat. He's head and shoulders above the rest of these horses in the race. Furore, from a class point of view, the main danger. And Schifano, we know he'll run the trip and he's in good form. So they're the top three, certainly, for mine.
All right, there you go. Clean sweep for Exultant then in this week's Group 1, which is one of 11 races on the programme at Sha Tin and starts a triple header at Sha Tin as well. We've also got the Sha Tin Vase. That comes up as race number 4, 1,200-metre Group 3 sprint there, featuring the likes of Hot King Prawn and Thanks Forever. Back to Sha Tin for a dirt meeting next Wednesday night and the Lion Rock Trophy next Sunday as well. So a big week ahead of us, a big day on Sunday, guys. There's a few storylines here, Graham, with the John Moore's final at Group 1 and Tony Cruz looking for that 7th win as well. Exultant trying to go back-to-back.
Yeah, it's going to be a terrific day. I'm a huge fan of Exultant. I wish we'd have had a chance to see him go abroad and show his talents. Edward touched on when he beat Liscreciere, not too many horses have beaten her in the last year or two. So we have a genuine top-quality mile-and-a-half horse on deck in the Champions and Chater Cup, a race with a rich history, Exultant to join the dual winners.
Yeah, and maybe put his hat in the ring for the Horse of the Year honours as well, Ed.
Certainly, main dangers, as you say, would be Golden 60. He's had a perfect season. Beauty Generation, he's probably unlucky not to be a Horse of the Year, just the timing that he's come around at Exultant. But he's a top-class horse. It'll be great to see him on Sunday.
All right, well, enjoy the action on the weekend, guys. That's the show. Thanks for watching. I'm going to leave you this week with California Memory back in 2013, sprinting to glory under Matthew Chadwick. Enjoy this. We'll see you again on Sunday. All the action from Sha Tin direct to you.
Dominant. He gets going now. California Memory back towards the inside. Liberated in front, but not for long. Dominant makes his move. So does California Memory on the inside. They're beaten off Irian. Then Willie Casals and Autumn Gold down the outside, but California Memory has beaten off Dominant. Willie Casals is rocketing home, but California Memory, he's getting tired, but he'll win his first race over 2,400.